So I would like you to read this problem. It's a warm-up problem, and I want you to try it on your own, and then pause the video, and then restart it when you have an answer, and then just listen through or skip if you think you understand, and just see if you were right or wrong and if you followed the right steps. So pause your video, give it a try. All right, so when you're doing this question, again, you start with your let statement. Cost of a pen 3 times the cost of a pencil. So what will X be? X will be the pencil. Pencil's mentioned second, and the pen is written in terms of the pencil. And so we're going to say let X be the cost of the pencil. Then that means if the pen is 3 times that, then 3x will be the cost of the pen. So check to see if you got that right. Again, if this was something that was being marked, you'd now have 1 mark for doing your let statement. Now you need to come up with the equation. And this is where you're going to look for your hint. 4 pencils and 3 pens. So 4 pencils would be 4 times the cost of each pencil, and 3 pens would be 3 times the cost of each pen. So we have 4 of those and 3 of those. And together it's going to equal $9.75. So again, just have a look at that. That isn't necessarily easy to think about. So if the cost of 1 pencil is X, then 4 of them would be 4 times X. Or you might have written X plus X plus X plus X. That would also work. And then 3 pens, if each pen costs 3x, then 3 of them will be 3 times 3x, or you might have written 3x plus 3x plus 3x. Another thing you might have done is gone straight to that, because you knew that 4 times x was 4x and 3 times 3x was 9x. So that's all right as well. And so now you'll get a mark for having your equation. So now to get the cost of the pencil, you have to solve your equation. So 4x plus 9x is 13x. And then you're going to divide both sides by 13. And you're going to get 75 cents. So we're going to divide both by 13. And we're going to get 75 cents. If it asks for the pencil and the pen, you would then go back and do 3 times 75 to get the cost of the pen, which would be $2.25. Because the question just says what's the cost of the pencil, you now do a sentence answer. Therefore, the cost of the pencil is. And remember, you would get a mark for solving your equation correctly and a mark for getting your answer. So let's look at another question involving equation word problems. This one's going to be a little bit more complicated than the ones that you were looking at yesterday. So the price for a play is $12 for adults and $8 for students, and the theater holds a total of 400 people. The play sold out, and $4,200 was made in ticket sales. The question is how many adult tickets and how many student tickets were sold. So there's a couple things that make this one particularly challenging. The first thing is there's no statement that says there was 3 times as many adult tickets sold as student tickets. So that is a little bit challenging. It's hard to figure out what X will be. So in this case, X can actually be either adults or students. It doesn't matter because there isn't one statement that is written in terms of the other. And so you choose what you think would be best. So in this case, I'll let X be adults, but you could have also let X be students. So we'll say let X, whoops, I guess it doesn't matter if it's red, but let X be careful here, let X be the number of adult tickets. Okay? Now, here's what's challenging. Nowhere does it talk about student tickets. So what do? Can you let Y be student tickets? Well, you can later, and if your parents are helping you with this, sometimes parents want to introduce 2 variables, but not quite. That's grade 10 math, solving equations with 2 variables. We're not going to worry about that right now. So we want to still write our equation in terms of X. The key here is that the theater holds 400 people. and was a sellout. So we know that 400 tickets were sold. If X of them were adults, how many were students? So let's just think here. I'm just going to add another page here for a second. And let's think if you had 10, I don't know, marbles. And some were blue and some were red. And I told you that there was one blue. How many would have to be red then? Well, if you know that there's 10, there'd have to be 9 red. Likewise, if I told you that 4 were blue, how many would be red? 6 would be red. If I said 8 were blue, then 2 would be red. Well, how are you coming up with these numbers? Well, in your head, you're probably saying, well, if 1 was blue, then 10 minus 1, that will give me red. Or if 4 is blue, then 10 minus 4 will give me red. So if we use that same strategy here, if there are 400 tickets and X of them are adults, then 400 minus X must be students. So again, if we go back to this one, what if I said X marbles were blue? How would I get red? I would do 10 minus whatever. So to get these numbers, all I'm doing is 10 minus whatever the blue number is. If it was 1, I did 10 minus 1. If it was 8, I did 10 minus 8. If it's X, I do 10 minus X. So that's a little bit tricky. This would be a little bit easier if it said 3 times as many student tickets as adults were sold. So there's our let statements. So now we're ready to make an equation. So probably a lot of you want to just go straight to, I just want to, I don't know what happened there. Let's see if I can undo that. Okay, we'll just ignore that. A lot of you would want to go straight to, well, X plus 400 minus X equals $4,200. The problem with that is this is the number of tickets. This is the money made. Does the number of tickets equal the money made? Do they equal? The answer is no, they don't. Okay? The number of tickets is the number of tickets. To get how much money they were, so for example, if I sold 10 adult tickets, that wouldn't be $10. That would be 10 times $12 or $120. If I sold 5 student tickets, it's not $5. It would be 5 times $8 or $40. So when you're making the equation for this one, this is what makes this one a little bit more challenging than the ones you looked at in day one. The hint that they give you in the question right here, that a total of 4,200 was made, that is money made. It's not tickets sold. So you can't just add the tickets sold. So what we have to do is we have to make it into money. So if X adult tickets were sold and each one was $12, that's kind of like what we did back here with our warm-up question, right? Where we had to multiply. Number times cost. Number times cost. Same thing. Number of tickets, X times cost of each ticket. So each adult ticket is $12 times X number of tickets. So if it was 10, that would be 12 times 10. If it was 20, it would be 12 times 20. Likewise, student tickets are $8 each. So we do the cost of one ticket times the number of tickets sold. Really important that you use brackets. It's not just 8 times 400. It's 8 times 400 minus X. It's not just, so you have to have these brackets. Now, this is amount of money made. Now we can make it equal to amount of money made. To solve, you just use distribution. So 8 times 400, 8 times negative X. You collect like terms. You start to solve for X. And we get that 250 adult tickets were sold. So then, to get student tickets, you just do 400 minus 250, and you get 150. Then you can do, therefore, 250 adult tickets and 150 student tickets were sold. So you always want to end with a therefore statement. So again, this one a little bit more complicated because the let statements are number of tickets, but the equation deals with how much money was made. There's that extra step in terms of money times amount, but that's very similar to what you did here. This one's just a little bit of a simpler example. This one's a slightly more complex example, but it's the same concept.